guys, welcome back. Oh wait, I just realized I'm chewing gum. Let me just toss that. I hope everybody's doing well. Hello. Welcome back to the Kalopsia podcast. My name is Sydney. I'm your host. And I decided to record this week's pod episode again. If you are watching, this is not the setup view that I've decided on. I just honestly don't get much natural sunlight in my room, except for on the floor near my window, like in this particular spot at this particular time of day. And I was going to record and I was like, oh, well, might as well. But yeah, sorry about the appearance, but I just thought it would be fun to record again. I liked doing it last time despite how long it took me to edit, even though my edits were not complicated. They were literally not complicated. It took me forever to do. But today I wanted to talk about making the most of your city. But before I get into that, I wanted to talk about my experiences today. So, it's actually funny that I'm doing the video. This is my Sunday grocery shopping fit. Remember like in the last episode when I said, or was it the one where I was like, how to get out of a rut? And I was saying, do things that'll make you feel productive. And if you like really don't feel like doing it, like dress cute. Because I mean, that's what I do. Like I dress cute when I really need to do something. So if I need to go to the store, or if I need to get rent, or if I need to do like laundry or meet someone when I don't feel social, I don't know, go to work, I just dress cute, and that makes it fun. So like it's a really simple fit. It's just like these like jeans with this rip that I don't really get to wear often because I can't wear rips at work. But basically I had been looking forward to going grocery shopping all day, and I'm like, okay, like this is finally the day. And the thing is, like I recently got food stamps, and as a full-time college student with a part-time barista job, like money is not flowing. Like money is not flowing. I need some help. I was like, government, give me money for food, because this way I don't have to pay for groceries. The thing is that I just got my like card in the mail from my mom, and I was like, okay, fantastic. I've been waiting on this to get food. So I brought the card to the grocery store, and I was like, okay, perfect. And it's like freezing today also. Like it's been like 55 degrees today. For some reason, it's 30. It's freezing. The wind is like a whip. It is brick outside, actually brick. And I finally get to the store. I'm like, perfect, fantastic. And I'm so joyful. You guys, I've not been this joyful in so long. I was so joyful. Honestly, the grocery store has become one of my favorite places ever. It's just so fun to me. I like have my little podcast or my little music, whatever. And I think it's usually podcasts I'm listening to. I love listening to Emma Chamberlain or the At Lexi podcast. Those are just chef's kiss. And I was having the most amazing time. I was scrolling. I was like, I'm gonna treat myself today. I'm gonna make a prosciutto and Gruyere and Parmesan Reggiano to be specific. I'm gonna make like a nice delicious sandwich, and then I got my favorite yogurts, and then I got like I got all the things, literally all the things, and I got like $10 worth of cheese. Like the Parmesan, I didn't go cheap with the $7 like less filled cup from Whole Foods. Like I went for the full cup. Like you guys get the vibe, like I'm really excited. And so I get my groceries and stuff, and I got really anxious and just had to check that I was recording for a second. But so I like get to the end and I'm putting everything away. I'm going to the self-checkout because, I mean, who doesn't go to the self-checkout? Like, I got an organic, like, not organic, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. I don't need to explain it to you. But, like, self-checkout is where it's at. And so I go there and I'm asking the man, I'm like, do these like cards work here? And like I already knew they did because my friend and I have gone, and she does have food stamps, so like I already knew that it should have gone through, but I just wanted to verify, and he was looking at it like, I don't know, because it's a New York one, because I like technically am like live in New York, whatever, but I'm in Mass anyway, it doesn't matter. But I am checking on it, whatever. Then it asked me for a pin. I'm like, okay, a pin. I don't have said pin. I'm like, okay. And my mom sent me a photo, like she sent me a picture of the document that the thing came with, but she like cut out the side. You know how moms do. She didn't send me like the full page. She just sent me like a snippet of the page, and I'm like, okay, fantastique. Like, how am I gonna get this done? And then I see like a phone number all the way in the corner, but like first I'm like, okay, let me call my mom. And the worker, he's like, is everything okay? Like, I don't know if this is gonna work. Like, I think you need a pen. I'm like, yeah, I think I realized I need a pen, thank you. I mean, I said that nicely, but I was like, yeah, I think I got that. I'm just gonna call my mom to see, because she applied for me, so I think she has the documentation for it. But the thing is, my mom had sent the document to me, so it was here, and I, in my mind, was like, okay, like the pin must be on this sheet of paper that they sent me. And I'm like, okay, like that's fine. Like, let me just try to call this phone number that's just in the very corner of the sheet of paper that comes with the card. And then I call, I do all the things, all the steps, the card number, social security, whatever. And I get to the last step. They're like, okay, enter your new pin. And I'm like, okay, I do pound. And I've been doing the pound key on every little option that they asked me for. I was writing the pound key every single time. So I'm like, okay, this is my like chosen pin, pound. And then they're like, invalid. I'm like, what do you mean invalid? Like it's literally, it's 4 digits. Oh, it was so annoying. And then I'm doing this multiple times. And like, I'm just standing here at the self-checkout thing. And the guy's like, and also, I mean, really nice man. He was like, oh my God, vous parlez français? Like, you speak French, whatever, because he heard me speaking French to my mom on the phone. And he chooses that time. He's like, hey, like, where are you from? I'm like, I'm from Cameroon. He's like, oh my God, I'm from Haiti. I'm like, oh, fantastic. Like, so cute. Like, so fun. He was really sweet, like a really sweet guy. But I'm just like, this is not the time. I'm like, I have frozen pizza. I have frozen fruit. I have my milks, my yogurts. Like, I have got things that like need to temporarily be put in the fridge. And whatever, I'm like still like being nice to this guy, because I see him like most times I go to Whole Foods, honestly, really sweet guy. And so I try, and then I'm like, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna go home. I'm gonna go home and get the sheet of paper, because like I'm sure the pin is on it, and I've been waiting to get groceries for weeks, because I've been waiting for this card to get in the mail for weeks. I mean, not weeks, like days, a week maybe. But I finally get it, and I'm like, okay, let me just run home. They're like, okay, how long are you going to be gone for? I'm like, oh, like 30 to 40 minutes. They're like, okay, like we can work with that. So they like put it aside, whatever. And as I'm walking out, this woman, she's so sweet also. She was like, do you like need me to, do you have Venmo? Like I can pay for you and then you can just Venmo me. I'm like, I'm not trying to spend money. Like this is like the pin for my like SNAP benefits. And then she's like, oh, okay. Like I hear you. But I was like, thank you so much. Like honestly, cute little human moments. But I'm like haul-assing like home. I'm like haul-assing through the whipping, freezing wind. But then I'm walking so fast. I turned a 20-minute walk into like a 14-minute walk. And I'm like running down the street, like so upset. I was thinking, I was kind of dissociating as it was happening. I was like punching air, like whipping my scarf side to side. I was like, is this what it feels like to throw a tantrum? Because I, like, as a person, I don't get that upset. Like, I don't get that mad at things. I usually can keep my emotions quite, like, stagnant. But I don't know what it was, what possessed me. I was so upset. I was so mad. And I was like, oh, why is this happening? I'm like, Sydney, you're just being so annoying. I mean, I didn't say that. Like, be kind to yourself, guys. It's okay to get upset when things don't go your way. It's okay to be mad. I gave myself like the 10-minute walk to be mad. Like I was so mad. And then I get home, right? I'm like, oh, finally. And like at the same time, I'm like trying to stay within the half-hour time that I told them that it would take me, which I didn't need to do that. I feel like that was just me putting more pressure on myself. But I get home, finally. Oh, keep in mind, I had also lost my keys, which I found in a bag immediately. I lose my keys like every couple weeks and find them in the most obvious spots. The other day, I left it on my like nightstand. I was tearing my room apart looking for my keys. The other day, I'm like rearranging the books I have stacked there. Oh, there they are. I'm like, fantastic. Thank you. So yeah, I get home, I find my keys immediately, and I am like tearing this place apart. I'm like I find the envelope. What does it say on it? No pin. It shows me the same number I had called while I was in the store. So my roommate is home, and then she's like, oh my God, okay, let's calm down. Let's take a step back. Like we can figure this out. And so I basically we call together, and then I do the exact same thing I had done 3 times prior. We do the exact same thing. I'm like, okay, like whatever, I do this, like I put in all the options, whatever. This time I don't hit pound. They're like, thank you for setting up your pin, perfect, thank you, whatever. I'm like, so I literally almost cried. I have no idea what happened. I'm not near my period. My emotions I thought had been in check. I have no idea why this affected me so much, which is like the only reason why I feel like it's worth telling the story. I don't know if this is interesting to anyone actually, but it was so earth-rattling to me that it was so simple for me to fix the second I got home. When I had tried, I kid you not, I called this number like 6 times. If I show you the call like history, I called them so many times. Like it was I can't even get into it. I actually can't even get into it. But I got the bus back to the store, and they took my groceries out of the fridge. They had put it in the fridge, all my frozen items, and it all worked out. It all worked out in the end. It did. I never saw the Haitian guy again. I don't know where he went to. He was like, I'll see you when you get back. And I was like, okay. And then he just wasn't there when I got back. And neither was the man that like put my groceries away. So I was like, I left my food around here somewhere. And they were like, oh, you. Yes. I was like, okay. Okay. That feels better now. Do you guys ever need to like rant? I just really needed to rant that out. It was really the most drama I've been in for like weeks, honestly. I don't know why, like the turmoil, the rush, the running, everything, the back and forth, all of that in 2 hours work, all of that took, well, now for today's topic, which is going to be how to make the most of your city. So today I wanted to talk about how to make the most of your city, because I feel like this is something that a lot of people deal with, because, I mean, I feel like we've all heard the saying, and by we've all heard the saying, like, I've said the saying, like, I just need to go to Europe. Like, in my mind, moving to Europe will fix all my issues. Like, I have some family there. I feel like it's more beautiful than the United States. I'm sorry if that's a controversial thought. I really don't think it is. I'm like, okay, yeah, all of my problems will just go away if I go to Europe. And while I did do that for like a summer, sorry if you guys hear that as well. Like that's me leaning on the door, and it like, there's a little bit of space between the latch and where the door rests, but it's like I want to lean back, but then I also like can't. Maybe I'll just sit forward. Maybe I'll try that, but I feel like I'm weak when it comes to my back and I need to lean on something. But I digress. We all heard the saying, okay, I just need to leave. I need to leave the US. I need to like go somewhere. I need to move. I need to go elsewhere. And I feel like that's not always what the best solution is. I feel like we often tell ourselves stories like we would be thriving if we looked different, we had more money, we lived somewhere else, you know. And while sometimes these things can be true, you know, what happens when you do move and then nothing changes? You know, or what happens if you can't change your circumstances? Like, what if that's out of your control? Like, you don't have $5,000 to just, like, pack up your house and just move across the world. I feel like that's more, like, really common. I mean, you want to leave, but you don't have the means, or it's just not possible temporarily. Like, maybe you have school or job or whatever could be holding you back. Maybe family, maybe kids. But I feel like what's important is to maybe think about why you're looking to move. What is it that you dislike about where you currently are? I mean, could it be that you are searching for more food options or better views, or maybe like better weather? Whatever that may be, you know, some of these things are not within your control, but some things are. So for food, for example, I feel like a lot of people, like one of the things they have to critique their cities about is maybe the food isn't that good, or they wish there were like more options. I feel like that's definitely something people may encounter in like a small town type of vibe. I mean, moving from New York to Boston, I haven't really encountered this, but like, you know what I mean. But also some of the times you find yourself saying these things when you are in major cities, or I mean, all of that I'm saying can also apply to maybe you did end up moving and then you're like, why am I still not happy? And I feel like a lot of the times it's important to like look inward, because when it comes to food, like just as an example, like, are you really making an effort or taking the steps to like try to get out there and like try to explore the different options? Because I feel like a lot of the time we don't, and we like think that we are, and in our mind we've already exhausted all options. But like, have you really exhausted all options? And even when it comes to activities, you're like, I mean, when I talk about Paris, right, I'm like, oh, I just want to like walk around for literal hours, walk along Nessun and just enjoy the water. I live in Boston. It's a city. I could literally just walk around, and if I want to see some water, I could like choose the Esplanade. And I often find myself saying these things in like the winter months. It's like, if you were to move, like you'd find the same issue. Like, it's winter there too. I don't want to go to the Esplanade right now because it's windy as fuck. Like, I'm not going to go in the winter unless I'm willingly choosing to freeze to death. Sometimes the place is not the problem. It's just like your perception of it. I also feel like something that we often deal with is our perception and like the illusion that you paint over a particular place. Like, we often associate our issues with the place. So whether it is that you're taking some courses that you really don't enjoy, or you have a job that you don't enjoy, or you're in a group of friends that you don't enjoy, those are issues that can become very interrelated with where you live. Say it's every time you're in a certain area, it reminds you of campus, and you're like, oh my god, I hate my classes, I hate my teacher, all of this is such a stressor for me. It's just like the entire place. Like, I'm just going to avoid Back Bay in general. Like, I'm just going to avoid the entire area in general. Like, I just hate it. I want to move. Or maybe your job it could be a work from home type of situation, and then you find yourself hating the city, but it's really that you just hate the fact that you're like constantly in this place, or like whether that just be your home and that's not something that you enjoy. Then you're gonna like end up thinking, oh my god, I hate Boston, like this is just a terrible place, because you're associating your negative experience with where you are in the world, which makes sense like psychologically. But it's important to be aware when there's that type of illusion or that type of relationship between a negative and something that should be seen as neutral. But basically the illusion that ends up happening is you oftentimes feel like the second that you move, all of those issues will go away. If for this semester, I mean, this isn't really the case, but this semester, let's say, well, actually, I'll let you take a real life scenario. Last year, I was taking Orgo 2 and a lab, Physics 1 and a lab, and then I was also taking Biopsych, I think, biological psychology. I don't know. I was taking like 4 courses and 2 labs. That and a part-time job. That was too much. Somebody should have said, Sydney, no. I mean, I like got through it because we are all quite adaptive, and you learn to compartmentalize. But sometimes compartmentalization does not come so easily. And then you find yourself being, oh my god, I hate the city. I'm so stressed. Everything about it is bad. I hate this. I need to move. And then you find yourself thinking, okay, when I move, I won't have this issue. This won't suck. This will be fixed. This way that I have of my own self-perception will go away. Automatically I'll be hot, fun, sexy, so active. I will be a poet all of a sudden. I'll be an artiste if I move to Paris. I will literally start painting like at the stroke of in a whim. All of my expressions, like common expressions, are like exiting my mind, so just ignore those because I know I'm not saying them right. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, we often think that all of our issues will go away the second that we move, but we must ask ourselves what things or what particular aspects of your current life are the issue. What is really bringing you sorrow and stress? What is the root cause? Because I think the second that you find what that root cause is, that's how you turn your whole life upside down. It's not always about the place. And while sometimes it is about the place, I do think that very, very often gets confused. And then we're like shocked when we still have issues when we move. Sorry, my nose is like really itchy. If you're like watching me, just scratching my nose so much. I'm like not doing drugs or anything. I think when I'm sitting here, this carpet's like really old and just the dust particles, I'm like allergic to dust. Just ignore me. I'm just rattling on. But, you know, the issue could be who you are surrounding yourself with, or it could be certain habits that you like can't get behind morally, but it's like you can't stop yourself from like continuing them. Or it maybe is that you hate your major or you hate your job, whatever. But the second that you start to reflect on things and start to work towards changing what those things are, then I feel like that's when you can really fix it. I mean, I'm getting a little bit redundant, but let's take the example of, what did I write down here? Let's say that your job is a 9 to 5. This is what my issue was. I had like a co-op and I had to be there from 8:30 to 5, and then the only way I would get there on time was to get there early. So I was really just there from 8 to 5. So it was like a 9-hour shift, 5 days a week. And then I actually also worked weekends. I worked Sundays every week, and then sometimes I'd pick up shifts on Saturdays. And I think at one point I worked 21 days in a row because I picked up 2 weekends in a row and then had to work the following week. Actually, insanity. I mean, it paid for my trip to Europe. Like, I don't regret that I did what I did. But, you know, there's definitely that give and take. I'm giving away this time and my sanity in order to reap the benefits later on. And, you know, that's a choice that we all make. But, let's say that you were in that situation and you find yourself in a job where you're working 9 hours, 5 days a week. Let's say you delete the second job, whatever. I feel like oftentimes with 9 to 5s, I mean, there's a huge perception in our society where it's like, okay, be your own boss. Do this. Like, you don't work on a schedule, whatever. And I actually really recommend Emma Chamberlain's podcast, Anything Goes. I forget what it was called. Like, I forget what the episode was called, but she did talk about how work is perceived in society, like how much being your own boss is pushed for in society, like being a business owner, doing this, whatever. Oftentimes in those situations, you find yourself on the clock 24/7, just because you don't have anybody to report to. You know, all those legalities, all of those decisions, all of that falls upon your shoulders. And I mean, that obviously depends on what kind of startup or company or business you're getting, whatever. But that's one of the beauties of 9 to 5 jobs, in my opinion. It's that you honestly don't have to worry about anything from the time that you like leave to the time that you get there. You have nothing to worry about. All you gotta do is show up. All you gotta do is show up and work. And I feel like sometimes we can get so stuck into thinking, oh my gosh, like I'm losing so much of my day. Like I have no time to pursue any hobbies because I'm here all day. And when the weekend rolls around, I'm just so exhausted. And then I have to do it all over again on Monday. And it just keeps going on and on and on for months and months and months. That is so many people's reality. But what's the difference? What differentiates those who enjoy their life and thrive and those who find themselves exhausted and just hating their life and their city? The difference is your perspective on the situation, also how much sleep you get. Because I feel like what I would deal with, I was doing it wrong in retrospect, but I would go to bed like really late each night because my mentality was, I mean, this is also my first time having a 9 to 5 job. Like I was 19, you know, it's a learning curve. But I would get home and then be like, okay, I have to, what's the word? I have to compensate for the amount of time that I spent working in fun time, because I'm like, in my mind, that's work-life balance, you know? I'm like, okay, so I worked for like 9 hours and it took me an hour to get home. So now it's 6 p.m. And I have to go to bed technically by like 10 p.m. But it's like, okay, wait, no, because that's not enough fun time. So like, let me push that to 12 a.m. But then you know what, I feel like everybody experiences this, like, by the time 11 rolls around, like, your energy is at a peak, and then you're like, okay, like, I'm ready, like, let's watch a movie, like, let's do this, let's do that. And so I wouldn't get to bed until like 1, and I need to get to work by 8 basically, and I need to get to the bus by like 7:30. So realistically I need to wake up at like 6:45. So I'd be getting like 6 hours of sleep and then wonder why I was exhausted all the time. And then it's like, you're not really able to benefit when you're in such a sleep deficit constantly. I cannot stress enough how important sleep is. I mean, the past 3 days, I've gotten 8 hours plus of sleep each night, and I swear I'm a brand new woman. Actually, that's a lie. I got like 9 hours of sleep a few days ago. I accidentally slept through my class, but we're just gonna skip over that. And then I slept 8 hours, and then last night I realized that I realized after the 8 hour sleep that like 7 to 7.5 hours is my sweet spot. Like, there's a perfect amount of sleep for everyone, and that varies by person. Sometimes it's 10 hours, sometimes it can be 6, even though biologically that's considered sleep deprivation. But for me, it's like 7.5 hours, and that's exactly what I got last night. And I swear, guys, I mean, you see me, right? I've only had 1 cup of coffee today. Woo! She's awake. She's running. The sun is shining, and it's beautiful. I mean, the sun definitely also plays a role in my energy levels, because I just love her. I love her so much. But I feel like that was one of my biggest things. Like, when I had my 9 to 5, I would just try to compensate for all my work time and then try to stay up like later and later and later in order to kind of have that balance, that like fake perceived balance that I was chasing. And I soon realized like that was not the best approach, you know, because I also do think that it depends on the kind of work that you have. Well, mine was a little bit tougher because it's a co-op. You can't really just like leave. I was kind of like a receptionist, like I was a practice assistant, so I worked in a clinic, and I did enjoy it, but it did get quite repetitive, and I feel like I didn't I feel like I could have been doing more or could have been learning more, but I feel like everybody has to go through that period, you know. It's definitely a stepping block, or you know, if you enjoy that kind of constant, that consistency in work and you know what to expect, then it can be a great job for you. But as a 19-year-old, I feel like I was just yearning for more, you know? So I couldn't really leave. So you find other ways, is the point though. Like, you find other ways to make your life enjoyable. What I could have done after getting home from my 6 p.m. is do something nurturing, because what you don't want to do is go straight home after sitting at a desk for 9 hours, then you go home and you sit on your bed for another 6 hours. Like, that's not really hopeful for the soul or body or mind. And I feel like it's actually around that time that I started the podcast for the first time, like round 1, if you look back to my first episode, which is really funny because that's the one with like the most listens. And I just always think about how not sensical it must have been. Like, I was completely just like trying to start a new thing, and I feel like that's like great. Like, if you're trying to like start a new hobby, like just start. Like, the quality does not matter that early on. It really doesn't. And definitely that's what was the case like with my podcast. But you see how that was my way of trying to kind of shift my perspective and shift how much time I spent thinking about, you know, how much I wished I wasn't doing my job anymore, you know? Because it's also just about your way of reflecting on it. If you're constantly thinking in your thoughts like, okay, I hate my job, this is terrible, but then you don't do anything to shift your focus or make your job better, or, you know, put less weight on your performance in such a place, you know, then that kind of falls onto your shoulders. It's like, well, you're not really doing anything to like fix it. But if you find yourself making efforts, you know, to expand your horizons, maybe spend more time with friends or spend more time looking out for more opportunities, more activities, new endeavors, just all different things. You have so much life to live, and there's so many things that you could be doing. I feel like we waste so much of our time thinking negatively about the small aspects of our life that we do not enjoy. But everybody in life is going to have things that they don't enjoy. It's just how much weight you put on it. We all have things that we hate. We all have things that we dread having to do. Laundry being one of them, unlike a tiny little aspect. But there's ways to like romanticize, or there's ways to compartmentalize, or do you guys know what I mean? I feel like I'm getting repetitive now. I hope that I made like some sense. I think I'm gonna end it here though. But I hope that you guys enjoyed the episode. Let me know if you like this setup. It's definitely very particular to the time of day that I decide to record. I mean, in the summertime, I guess it'll be lighter for longer, but I don't think I could carry this on in the winter. So I'll definitely experiment. But, I mean, we already said I wasn't going to do the video every week, but I thought it would be fun this week. I hope you enjoyed. And I hope everybody has a nice week. Sorry about my, like, tantrum rant at the beginning of the episode, but I feel like I want to, like, get more personal, you know? We can get to know each other, get to know my personality beyond just my genius thoughts and brains. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I hope everybody has a nice day. I hope that this made like some sense to you. If you have any thoughts, you guys can DM me at the Kalopsia pod on Instagram. I kind of just like 86 the Twitter. I feel like that doesn't really make sense, but I feel like the Instagram will be easier for like, I feel like it's just more accessible. So yeah, if you have any thoughts or podcast topic requests or criticisms, so open to criticism, yeah, DM me on there. But I hope everybody has a nice rest of their weekend, and I'll see you guys next week.